I happen to see that, hello everyone. I happen to see that the last time that I did a test, there was 10 people that were on. So I thought, well, maybe I should just come back on and actually say hello. So if you're there, please just leave a message in the chat room. It should be right there. And I'll see that you're here. Otherwise, I'm going to talk about a few things that is going on. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but I put my website up here, and it happens to be in reverse. It looks like it's written in Czech. It's actually DwayneHartman.com. I have a new website. That's one of the announcements, and with a whole new approach to doing things. So on the website, if you go there, you'll see that I'm offering some classes and training coming up very soon, and you can take part in that. Um, Other than that, I'm putting together a new series, and that's what I've been working at. Putting together a new series. It's called the Magical Consciousness, and it's a video series that you guys can be involved with as well if you like, because that video series is how to go into and maintain the magical consciousness state and to live that in your life. So that'll be interesting. By gum. We have a tremendous amount of ability within ourselves once we tap into it. Once we start to shift our perception of who we really are, uh, we're not just beings, human beings. We're much more than that. And we start accessing that and start going into these states of being, we can start changing our reality that we're living. And so that's why I'm putting this series together. Other than that, I'm also going to start splitting up the hypnotherapy program and really making the transformation from hypnotherapy to trance alchemy. Because for years now, the hypnotherapy course was actually beyond what I learned in hypnotherapy. It's, I've created so much more with it. So now I've had students and many others say, you should be calling it something else because it really is. So it's moving to trance alchemy. And trance alchemy is a very fast way to shift things. And you can shift things very quickly if you're working in energy, vibration, and frequency, like Tesla talked about. When you're working that way psychologically as well with people, you can move them along very quickly out of stuck states and into states of freedom and lightness. So this again is something that's it just seems like it's new and everything is new. New website, new courses, new things. And so I'd really like for you to come join me there at DwayneHartman.com. And if you can read Czechoslovakian, it's up there. And I know that we're all feeling the pressure right now, and I am as well, included. The pressure of this, and what this pressure is the shift that's happening, and these are the things that we're feeling. Is what is this pressure? What is this tension that's going on? What is this Yeah. Well, it's the passing of one paradigm into another paradigm, and then the other paradigm is going to be what you create. And bottom line is that we need to be able to shift uh, into the true sovereign nature that we are inside. We all know something is not accurate, something is wrong, but yet it's only us that's going to be changing that. And that doesn't mean taking up, fights here and there. You don't have to do that. What you can do is change what you feel inside. And when you change what you feel inside, you start changing the environment around you. And nothing can be done about that. I just got done watching a whole movie on Osho and what really happened there at the ranch with Osho. And it was absolutely pitiful. The man just wanted to teach freedom, psychological freedom. And there was such an attack internally in the center and outside of it because of this, that it was just pitiful. And we need to be able to shift personally and shift where we are. This is why I'm coming up with this series of movies, movie series that takes you through um, how to approach this and how to be inside of yourself and how to be with others, how to maintain the magical consciousness and live in a 3D, what would appear to be a 3D world, and have your own reality within that world, and to function and to do the things that you need to do, and respect the laws and everything else, but uh, also live in your sovereignty. And this series, as I go through with you, you're going to pick up a vibration. And for those of you that just joined, the series isn't ready yet. It's just an announcement, but um, uh, the series isn't ready yet. But as each one is ready, you'll be able to go through it and experience it. Once it's all completed, there will be a whole vast amount of videos, movies to watch on this subject. But I understood that uh, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough just to help people make the shifts that they were making. They also need to have uh, a representative, someone who's speaking with them, someone who's taking them through kind of daily exercises and things to do. That would be helpful, so that there was something that they could come to and continue that process, where there's questions and answers, and questions that I can answer on the movies as well. So I see that. I don't know why. I'm going to say hello to you in the chat and see if you say hello back. I don't see anyone saying hello to me. Uh, I wonder if the chat is working. So if you could just say hello in there. Yeah, I know it's, Hi, hi. Sebastian, good to see you. Well, good to see your writing. Um, if you have any questions, you can also put them in the chat. But this magical consciousness is something that we live in every day, but we got focused on something else. And we got focused on this something else and lost track of our true nature, the sovereign being that we are. And it's really time on every level that we come back to ourselves, to the power of who we are. When you came in here as a little one, you knew it. Uh, and but when you rub against society and an ongoing program that's happening there, we get convinced of something else. We get convinced that we're maybe not all that. We get scared to talk our truth, right? And with everyone that's out there speaking their truth, this is a wonderful thing. Really, it is a wonderful thing that people are coming out and speaking and sharing what they know. And we need to have a society that it's okay to share what we know. I mean, so many people right now are coming out of the closet and sharing what they know, in sessions and I get to see it. I'm very fortunate that way. I get to see gods and goddesses every day coming into their light. And that's something that we all need to be able to do. We're only frightened by the system of things, uh, frightened of ridicule. But yet, the next person is frightened of ridicule as well. And so when we start coming out, you start noticing that this person here and this person here start coming out too. They might take you aside alone and talk to you. But this movement of coming back into this magical consciousness is very important at this time and will be a continued importance long after, because we need to think about what we're going to do after the shift, right? What are we going to be and how are we going to be? What are we going to do when we're in our own power? Because a lot of times when we think about creating reality, uh, shifting our state of being into higher frequency, there comes a time when you have to face the fact that you can no longer step back into a society the way that you used to, because you know too much. And in knowing too much, that's a good thing. It's a good thing to know too much and not step back in to a society that is very limited. Like I say, the shift is taking place. We see it and feel it everywhere. And I don't know about you folks, but I know that there's a tremendous amount of pressure right now. And with tremendous amount of pressure, something's going to pop. And for those of us that do have memory of life before, in other times, we've been here before. We've been to this place where it rises into kind of a pressure cooker and then it goes pop. And when it pops, uh, we come back into our sovereignty. We come back into our own. So, like I said, this was just going to be a short announcement unless someone has any questions. But, and if you do, just poke them in the chat. I'm just reading here. Uh, Someone has put in the chat, cool kid, cool kid Nick, cool kid Nick, has put in the chat, hi, Dwayne, can you tell us about any rituals or knowledge from the Egyptian mystery schools? I am not able to recall my past lifetimes just yet to recall these lessons. I'm going to share a story, and in the story will be a feeling. And that feeling will be worth more than words. The thing with this is that I had the really cool opportunity to interview um, John Anthony West before he passed, quite a few years before he passed. And in that conversation, there was something that was pressing me to ask him, and that was, when you go into the old mystery schools, the universities there that are still standing, I wanted to know what the feeling was, because there's something that we have been entrained in. We've been entrained to think in a compartmentalized manner. Mathematics is here, and religion is here, and sexuality is here, and creativity is here. But I had a feeling, and that's why I wanted to ask him. I had a feeling that we ran our brains differently back then, and that we could run our brains that way again. And so I asked him the question, and he says, yes. He says, back in those days, religion, science, creativity was all one thing in the mind. It was the same thing. And so even before that, because I knew, but I wanted to ask him the question, is being able to bring that together inside of yourself, that science is actually spirituality, and uh, religion. Uh, these aren't these aren't separate things, and the way to go back into that state, because as I talk about a lot, the top part of the mind is so programmed, right, with fear patterns and all that, you know, is if we go into the eye of Horus, which there's different names for this same state and different explanations. If we go back into the eye of Horus, which in other schools they call it the third eye or the pineal gland or pituitary gland, and then we have all kinds of stories about it being calcified from this and that and the other. What I have found is that it isn't calcified at all. It's just in a state of atrophy because we are spending too much time up here in the top part of the mind. So if you take the symbol, the eye of Horus, and you look at it, and you take a split of the brain, and you look at the brain, you'll see that same eye there. That's what triggered me in my memory, right? To start taking my awareness, because I knew I could move my awareness from my earlobe and being aware of it to my big toe. But if I took my awareness from the top part of my mind and sank it down here and started to breathe, you're going to start getting information on the feeling level, not knowledge and, thinking, but from the feeling. By asking the question, cool kid Nick, by asking the question, you're already prompting yourself to go back in time, is what I know as, a trance alchemist. By having the question, you're already knowing there's something there. But often people spend time thinking, trying to think it, instead of going into the feeling of it. It's like my old teacher said years ago, all lifetimes are stored in emotional packets in your spirit. And when you go back into the emotion of it and just hold the emotion, don't think about anything, just hold the emotion of it, then it starts to rise and open up. And then you have these packets of wisdom that you came in here with. You see, when we were children, when we were little children, if they'd actually listened to us, right, we had great wisdom coming in here. And there are some uh, movements that are happening where they're taking the children and they're actually learning from the children as they would a master or a guru. They're learning from the children, and the children are teaching them, and they're teaching them really neat and creative things again. But it's got to do with something that we as a society have put aside, and that's the imagination. We've made the imagination almost a dirty word, that, oh, it's just imagination. Well, the imagination is a porthole. It is your greatest portal. The imagination is the only thing that ever took you from any point to any point. If you can imagine that next point, you would go into it. You see, you would shift. If you're sitting here in despair and you think, if only something would happen, you're using your imagination, and this something would happen and I would be out of this situation. Well, guess what? It happens. And then we go, oh, well, that was just, but what I want to say about imagination is that the imagination uh, was also highly used back then. They would imagine themselves going into other states of being and then rise into those states of being because they mastered that. They mastered that ability. So your question was remembering past lives and having recall of that. Well, simply start breathing and dropping your awareness down here. Now your eyes are going to get blurry. Your eyes are going to be in a peripheral vision state, and you're going to see more peripherally. And then the more that you breathe and just allow yourself to go to that state and stay in that state without shaking your head and trying to come back out of it, because that's the normal response. Just stay there, right? And what'll happen is that you will start remembering things on a feeling level. You will remember a feeling of ancient Egypt, or you'll remember a feeling and just start to go with it. And it'll come up. As easy as that. It's not difficult. And I remember times of a feeling I would get, and when I was a child, and I would got this feeling, and I just took off and ran in the bush. And it was crazy. I was running through the woods with fallen trees and everything, and I was like I was absolutely free. I was never tripped by any of the sticks or the twigs or the trees fallen. I was hopping over them. I was doing all. It was like I had a different spirit. And I did. It was a memory of being, being a Native Canadian or a Native American and actually being in the bush. All of a sudden, I went into that state. And in that state, I had the ability to run where most of the time people would have got tripped up, right, and fell down. So again, go with your feelings, right? It's not about thinking. It's about dropping in here and just start to feel. I remember times I would go into that feeling And I would start just tapping my fingers. And I would start to drop into a feeling inside of me that brought information and wisdom and connection to even other beings that wanted to teach me things. And so I would listen. Um, I'm going to say the spirit of the ancients are alive and well and waiting for you to ask questions and waiting for you to tap into them. Uh, and it's going to cross the line between what's real and imagined. And you're going to go into imagination, but you're going to learn things that you don't know. And in fact, you'll find it in books later. I've found stuff in books that I have come up with, books later in life, where I'm just, oh my God, you know, I spoke it as truth and it was in books. And how would I know? Right? How did I know then? Because I was talking to the these great beings, in communication with them through a feeling, right? So, and of course, um, through my programs that I offer on my website, and for those that had joined later, that actually says DwayneHartman.com up there, not because it's backwards. I'm offering a lot of different things right now, which is the hypnotherapy course, which is really dehypnotizing, helping people to dehypnotize and come into their own power within. I'm big on people owning the God within them, as you've probably heard, and bringing people back to that state of being the God and Goddess that you are. And a lot of times, and like for you, cool kid, this is a state within you that is directly connected to, ancient Egypt. And but with the program, I teach people, the hypnotherapy program, I teach them how to, first of all, get rid of the critic, because the critic is if you've ever seen my video on removing the critic, you'll understand why the critic is there. The critic is to keep you out of your God consciousness and always on the side of societal hypnosis. And once you start to cross that barrier, you get rid of the critic. You start hearing the loving voice inside of you and the wisdom, instead of all the warnings and fear about crossing the barrier. And you start owning a part of yourself and coming into your own sovereignty as a spirit, an unbounded spirit. So that's the hypnotherapy course. And then I'm also offering other things. Feel the Magic, which is about coming through this and feeling the magic that is inside of you. I take you through the process, and it's not as long. It's not a certification course, but you get to go through the experience and experience what it's like to come into high vibration. Excuse me for a minute. So that's Feel the Magic. Feel the Magic also leads over to Be the Magic, which is a certification course. And this is all coming under Awakening the Magical Consciousness, which is the video series that I'm putting out through Vimeo, that you'll be able to get a hold of. And where the video series is about holding and maintaining that state of consciousness within yourself in 3D. So I just thought I'd come on, because I came on as a test and there was 10 people, and I felt, maybe I should just comb my hair and actually come on for real. And I think I'll do this again. I got tempted with it because I seen that YouTube has a new button on the top where you just press it and you can go live. And I thought, well, I'll give it a go. And it works. So let's see. I'm just going to quickly go through here. Yeah, the evening hypnotherapy course is March 28th. And the Trance Alchemy Feel the Magic online event is April 3rd. Now, this is the same event that I do live as well. And there's other opportunities for people that are into wanting me to come to their city or check out, host an event on my site, because the payouts are really good for, I share the profits. I don't hold, if you bring 30 people, 30 people or more, I'm not going to refuse you a kickback from that. Definitely will give you a kickback. And so that's the way I roll, as people get paid. So, and I know there's some people that just want to do it from the kindness of their heart, and I appreciate that too, and they'll still get paid. Because there's something about that with me that, when people work with you, you pay them. People, So again, like I say, this is just basically a test, but I'm glad that you came out and seen me here. So we'll talk to you again soon, and bye for now.